Grant, I'm going to ask you about the 5 o'clock kickoff because it involves the Lions, who've obviously been very, very impressive this season, as you've definitely emphasised as well in our chats. They've been in the news this week, though, about sort of, potential disruptions with their youngsters being lured away by overseas contracts. Has that played into their sort of approach to this weekend's game against the Brumbies, who are now dangerous, coming off a defeat? Matt Tomoe is back for them.
Yeah, look, hopefully it hasn't had any disruption at all. I suppose the better you play, the more your players are recognised, the more overseas clubs want to have a look at them. They've got some key players in some, important positions. The front row, we know, have all scrummed incredibly well. Warren Whiteley, I'm sure, is destined for higher honours for South Africa sooner rather than later. He's been fantastic, leads the tackle count, leads by example. Jaco Krill's off to Japan, with Warren Tecklenburg. The three of them form a really formidable loose trio. Elton Jantjies, who has played in Japan before, he's really stepped up his game. He's sort of now the number one at the Lions, ahead of Marnus Boshoff, who had a really good season last year. So they've got a lot of youngsters coming through, players in key positions that have sort of seen them keep up with the Bulls and the Sharks in the South African Conference, and they're certainly not without a shout. I mean, if they win this weekend and the Bulls go down to the Blues, which is possible with the Stormers having a bye, the Lions can move up right to the top of the standings. So they're certainly within a shout. If they just keep on winning their games and hopefully a couple of other results go against them, or go in their favour rather, then they could well be there in the playoffs. They might sneak into that sort of sixth and last position, but that'll be a remarkable achievement for the team. Regarding this weekend, I think the Brumbies are going to be smarting from their defeat to the Stormers last weekend. Thought they were very unlucky to lose. The last-minute conversion missed by Christian Lealefano would have given them the victory. I think they'll bounce back. Second week in South Africa, over the jet lag and all that, they'll know that their season's on the line. A lot of it will depend on what the Waratahs have done earlier in the day. But I see them pipping the Lions in this game. The Lions have had a fantastic run. I think it's going to come to an end at some point, and I think it might just be this weekend, even though I think they will still dominate up front like the Stormers did against the Brumbies pack. But I think that backline for the Brumbies is just going to be a little bit too skillful for the Lions. As you say, Matt Tomoe back, he's key for them. I think they missed him last weekend. So I'm going to go for the away win again in this match, but again, pretty close by 4 or 5 points.
Okay. And then, Rob, the late kickoff at 7, another team that might feel the backlash of maturing side are the Cheetahs. They take on the Highlanders also, who I'm sure frustrated with their defeat last weekend to the Lions. But yeah, Sara Pretorius and Joe Peterson not available for the Cheetahs. That might make a huge difference as well.
That's a big blow for them. I mean, they've already been severely weakened by injuries, so now they're really sort of with respect to Francois Brummer and Tiaan Meyer, they haven't had the too much opportunity at Super Rugby level this season. So the Cheetahs look more exposed than usual, actually, in key positions. The one thing you can say about Sara Pretorius is we know he's a game breaker. He's the sort of guy who, if things get sort of fast and loose, can make a huge difference to a Cheetahs side, especially if the game ends up being one of those 40-30 sort of ding-dongs, which can happen sometimes in Bloemfontein on a hard, fast pitch. It's difficult to find an area of the park where you think the Cheetahs have an obvious edge over the Highlanders. Very difficult indeed. You've got Mr. Fekitoa in pretty decent form in midfield. Remember that amazing breakout try that he scored, where his pace and power were just far too much for the Lions' defence. I mean, as you say, they will be absolutely livid, the Highlanders, for coughing up a 23 advantage, looking all set for a sort of not just a win, but a 5-point haul in Joburg, and not managing it. So they will be absolutely hopping mad, and they desperately need the win because their roster looked relatively easy. Coming to South Africa to play the Lions and Cheetahs rather than say the Bulls and Stormers is usually a pretty good result for a New Zealand team in fixture terms, and they need to cash in. So they've botched one, they must win this one, and I think their urgency will see them past the post.